2 seconds, 1 second, heave from half court by Lucas, and he banks it in. What a shot from Jared Lucas, making up for the 2 missed free throws. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Valentine Sports Show. I'm your host, Frank Rampin, and let's dive into another week of the college basketball season. So episode 2 of the college basketball recap. So we're going to dive right into that weekly recap that we always do, and the big story in college basketball right now is the big court storming controversy that happened this weekend between Wake Forest and Duke. Biggest game really in the last 10, 15 years in Wake Forest's program history. Hosting Duke, they're on the bubble, on the outside looking in at this point, not in the tournament. They needed a big win against number 8 Duke, and they played a great game. Largest crowd in the history of Wake Forest Arena. Big game, and they come down to it, and let me just show you what happens. I'm sure you probably have seen it by now, but 1.8 seconds left, trying to miracle here. They're down by 4 anyway, so they need like a miracle. And you see Kyle Filipowski right now. They're storming the court, and he gets taken out by a couple students right there. It looked like a little bit of like knee-to-knee contact. The student was running through, and you see the Duke players and John Shire, they create like a barrier around him. They all just kind of hug him. He's like, looks like he's in a lot of pain. When I was watching this live, I was like, oh my God, that's not good. Like, he's one of their best players. He looked like he was in a lot of pain. Duke players not happy about it. They're just having a great time on the court. But he looked really hurt at first. He looked like he was in a lot of pain, and the Duke players were not happy about it. So obviously that's not a good situation. You can't have that happen ever. Like, fans coming on the court is one thing, but you can't come out there and look at this. Like, they're running right at him. Like, you have awareness to move around players. That, to me, is the part that I don't love. Kyle Filipowski seems to be okay. He has a bruised knee, so good thing it wasn't anything serious, like a sprained knee or anything further than that, knee damage, structural damage. So good thing that wasn't the case, but a scary situation nonetheless. But let's talk about court stormings here for a second. That's been the topic of conversation for the entire week since that happened. Here's my take on it, right? So court storming, everyone says the fans don't belong on the court as much as the players and the coaches don't belong in the stands. Well, I understand that completely, and like they don't storm the field in like the NFL, they don't storm the field in the MLB, they don't storm the court in the NBA. They used to when like crazy things happen, but they don't anymore. It's kind of a part of the college game, right? College is more passionate. That's like college's thing. College football, college basketball. There's more passion behind it. There's like a love for your town, your college town, your city, your state. Like there's like more of like a rootedness to it, it feels like to me. So it's almost like more connected to the fans. Obviously fans in the NFL, MLB, they're all great, but college fans, especially college football, college basketball as well though, it's a little bit different, you know? There's a little bit of a different intensity level and a love for your team. So I feel like court stormings and field stormings in college football, it's kind of a part of the game. But at the same time, you can't just be letting these rabid kids that are just drunk and obnoxious just run wild with players on the court, especially star players like Kyle Filipowski and anyone really. It doesn't matter how good your stature is, but obviously guys like that, it's going to make the headlines even more. But you can't let these kids just run wild and have no security in place to protect these players, especially the away players. If it's a rivalry game, imagine what's going to happen. They're going to be getting yelled at. That's the one thing. And then some kid might have the balls to go up and do something to him, which maybe that'll happen more on a basketball court because they're not in full pads, where if you go after a football player, there's going to be some serious repercussions, and I think everybody knows that. But basketball might be a little bit different. Even though they're big-time athletes, they're in a confined space, and you have a lot of people with you. So it's a dangerous situation. And I definitely think that security needs to be placed in order, but I don't think it should be taken out of the game. I think that every university, they're having a conversation over this week, every commissioner of all the major 5, I guess for now, conferences, including the Pac-12, but I guess it'll just be Washington State and Oregon State's ADs for the future. I don't know. But so they're going to talk about it. Hopefully they don't outlaw it. I want it to go because it happens all the time, right? And it just takes one kid to be a drunk idiot, an asshole, and do that like he did there. So hopefully they can take this away, or they can make this better, right? Be able to keep it though, because I think that if you just like maybe give it like a 30-second for the away team to get out of there, get some security up, put some ropes up. Some schools do it great, but that was not handled well by Wake Forest, and then they're going to have to correct that. So now we talked about the little bit of controversy that happened this past week. Let's talk about the new top 25. So last week I talked about how there was the first unanimous number one, UConn, and immediately that happens, they lose. So they lost to Creighton last week on Tuesday night. Tough game for them. It was a very, very hard-fought game for the beginning of it, but Creighton ran away with it, ended up winning by 19 points. So a huge win, taking down number one. So a new number one in college basketball for the fifth time this season. The Houston Cougars, they're the number one team in the country now. They have the best defense in the country, and they just beat Baylor, who was number 11 this past week, and Iowa State, who was number 6. So two top 11 wins in the same week for them in conference play, because that Big 12 is absurd. But that'll do it, get you up to number 1. Here's the part that I'm not the biggest fan of. Purdue's number 2. Sure, Zach Edey had an unbelievable game this week, scored 35, but they only won the game by like 5 or 6 against another unranked team. They have been playing everybody, no matter if they're a great team or an okay team or a bad team, very, very close. They've been playing a competitive game basically every time they go out there, which is why, sure, UConn lost the game by 19. Every other game that they've been playing, they've been basically dominating. They came right back and they had college game day there at Stores for the first time in 10 years this past Saturday, and they absolutely dismantled Villanova. And Purdue had another close game. So I don't know, man. Like, I guess Zach Edey, and Joe Lunardi, he's got them as the overall 1. I don't understand that. If Houston's the number 1 overall seed, UConn was the number 1 seed, he had Purdue over them anyway, which I never understood. But Purdue number 2. Zach Edey's been absurd. He's going to win back-to-back Player of the Year, first time since Ralph Sampson in the 80s. UConn, like I said, their loss to Creighton drops them down to 3, but I still think they're the most complete team in the country. Houston has the best defense, but UConn has the most complete team. They can play defense, they can score basically from all 5 positions on the lineup, and with some depth on the bench as well. So I think they're the most well-rounded team. And then this 4 spot right here, the fight for the final 1 seed is going to be fun. The top 3, I mean, it's going to be the 1 seed in the South is going to be Houston. The 1 seed in the Midwest is going to be Purdue, and the 1 seed in the East is going to be UConn. That's just how it's going to be. The 4th seed is a little bit more up for grab, the West. Tennessee, or the 4th 1 seed is what I was trying to say. But number 4 in the country right now, the Tennessee Volunteers, they're fighting for that last 1 seed in the tournament, but with Marquette and Arizona. So there could be 2 Big East teams to get 1 seeds here. After Marquette they've been really good all year. They had a very, very good start this year. They kind of hit a lull, but now they're back at number 5. They're right behind Tennessee, like I said, fighting with Tennessee and Arizona. And Arizona, they lost to Washington State this week to drop them out of that top 4. But Arizona, another very well-rounded team, they're the only major conference program to have 4 seniors average 11 points per game or more. Caleb Love, he's averaging 19.4. Umar Ballo, he's been great, the big man, averaging 13.2. Pele Larson, 13.6. And Kashad Johnson, 11.6. So 4 guys really contributing to scoring on a nightly basis for them. But Caleb Love is the drum that makes the beat of this team go. Like, if he's not going, they're not going. So Caleb Love, he's kind of a hit or miss guy because he's going to take a lot of threes. He's going to take your big-time shots. And if they're not falling, you might be losing that game. Number 7, Kansas. Wow. They just lost last night, Tuesday night, for their first home loss. They lost to BYU, right? They were ranked. BYU's been a great team. They shoot the lights out of the 3. They shoot so many of them, too. But great game for them. They snap the longest active home winning streak in college basketball. 67 games in a row before last night. Kansas had won at home at Fog Allen. That's insane. 67 games, longest active streak in college basketball, snapped. The next closest is Purdue and Drake at 20. So they were over 3 times that streak, going for 4 times. That's unbelievable. But the Cougars of BYU take them down. Iowa State, after that loss to Houston last week, they fall down to number 8. Crazy game that they had in that one. Tough loss for them. Misi, their probably lottery pick, had a great and one late in the game that tied it up. The free throw would have given them the lead, but he missed it. Jamal Shed came down and just barely was unable to come up with a buzzer beater. Like, he shot it, and it was like in his hand for 1.1 seconds too long. So now, number 9, North Carolina. R.J. Davis had an unbelievable game the other night. 42 points against Miami, a career high. Single game scoring record inside the Dean Smith Center, which opened in 1986, so 40-year history almost. Tied for the most points by a UNC player over the last 50 seasons. The only person that has that same amount of 42 was in 1908, Shammond Williams did it. And he's the first UNC player with at least 50% of the team's points in a 40-point game since Lenny Rosenbluth in 1957. So that's a long time ago. And he's the first UNC player with multiple 35-point games in a single season since 2008, 2007, and 2008. Tyler Hansborough did it. Duke, they're number 10. They lost to Wake Forest. They fall down. Filipowski is okay, though, after that court storming. Still questionable for this next game, but he avoided major injury. Auburn, they're looking good, trending upwards. So is Creighton. They beat UConn, but they lost to St. John's on Saturday. But still trending upward is the Blue Jays. The Illinois Fighting Illini, a little shaky as of late. They lost to Penn State this past week in a crazy game. But they've been in close games a lot recently. Played Iowa this weekend. They beat them. Alabama. They can score 100 on any given night, but they can also give up 100 on that same night. It's insane. You saw it this weekend against Kentucky. Gave up 117 points, scored 95, but still that's a 25-point loss. Baylor, a lot of close, hard-fought games in the Big 12 that they've played. A couple tough losses for them, including this weekend to Houston. But Baylor, going to be a tough out in the tournament. Kentucky have 3 guys that really you can turn to take over a game in the fourth quarter. They were our game of the week this week. We'll get into that a little bit later. But Reed Shepherd, Rob Dillingham, and Antonio Reeves, all unbelievable scorers and clutch late in ball games. Number 17, the St. Mary's Gales. They have a big game coming up this weekend against Gonzaga, which basically will guarantee them a tournament spot. Whoever wins this game is going to have a big, big win on their resume because obviously the winner of the West Coast Conference is going to get in. But if one of the teams from the West Coast Conference is going to get in without winning the tournament, it's going to be a St. Mary's or Gonzaga, especially now. South Carolina, they need a strong finish. Michi Johnson, their best player, is going to need to power them through. Washington State, they just beat Arizona for the second time this year. They move up to 19. First sweep of the Wildcats since 2009, 2010. So impressive stuff from the Cougars of Washington State. San Diego State, I think this for me is my favorite Mountain West team. The Mountain West is unbelievable this year. They're projected to have 6 tournament teams right now. That would be the most in their history. But I think San Diego State, the Aztecs, I think they're the best. Obviously, they made that Final Four run last year, made it to the national championship game, and lost to UConn. The Dayton Flyers, still ranked, but they've played some tough games as of late. Big bounce back win this other day. I forget who they played, but they had a tough hand. Or it was not a tough game. 25-point win, I believe. Utah State last night played an insane game. They were losing late. Huge, big-time 3 to send it to overtime late, like with 2 seconds left, and they ended up bringing it out in overtime. So Utah State, another one of those Mountain West teams. And Gonzaga, moving back into the rankings at 23 for the first time since, week 5 or something like that. Fell out early, and it was the first time, when they did fall out, back in week 5, 6, whenever that was, it was the first time Gonzaga fell out of the rankings for 117 weeks. It's basically like the entire career of Drew Timme. And then he's gone now, and they fell out finally. But they made their way back, 23. Huge game coming up this weekend against St. Mary's. Florida remained at 24. They had a big win this weekend, won a game by 20 on Saturday, so they look pretty solid too. And South Florida, the University of South Florida, ranked number 25, and for the first time in the history of the school, in the AP Top 25. So pretty good stuff there. 14-1 in the conference are these South Florida Bulls. Unbelievable from them. They had a crazy win against FAU this past weekend, so they look good. And this year, there have been there have been 18 AP ranked matchups in the Big 12 this year. Just in the Big 12, 18 matchups between AP Top 25 teams. In conference play in the Big 12, 18. The entire rest of college basketball, Division I, 14. So there's been more top 25 games between Big 12 teams than the entirety of college basketball. Unreal. And like I mentioned, 6 projected tournament bids for the Mountain West would be the most in conference history. And now let's move into our play of the week. This came from last night. It's a little bit of a later upload this week. I had to film it on Wednesday. Had to call a game last night. Sorry about it. But gave us a chance to watch an unbelievable game last night between Nevada and Colorado State. Two more tough Mountain West teams, both of them probably going to be tournament teams. But Nevada leading late. We're going to jump in here with 30 seconds left. Nevada's up by 6. So Isaiah Stevens, who's the leading scorer in the Mountain West for the Colorado State Rams, he's been great as of late. Makes a move, kicks it out to the corner. And Nick Clifford hits a big shot to cut the Nevada lead down to 3. So Rams going to have to foul here, and they're going to foul Jared Lucas with 18.8 to go, who's a 91.4% free throw shooter, and he misses the first. So the student section going wild for the Rams, but 91.4%, he's going to make the second one. So Isaiah Stevens yet again, down by 4, loses his dribble, picks it up though, and puts it in off the glass. So lead cut down to 2, inbound, back to Lucas, fouled by Stevens. So a 2-point game with 8.4 to go and a 91.4% free throw shooter. The best free throw shooter in the Mountain West Conference, Jared Lucas, coming up to basically ice the game with 8.4 left to go. And he misses the first. So 2-point game, second free throw, no good. Stevens gets the board. Rams have a chance to tie it. 4 seconds, 3 seconds, pull-up jumper, good. What a shot there by Stevens to tie it up here with 2.2 to go. Huge comeback there from the Rams, and Jared Lucas, the best free throw shooter in the Mountain West Conference, misses 2 that would have iced the game and allows the Rams to come back and tie it. But still, 2.2 seconds left to go. Rams need to hold. What a shot that was by Stevens, the leading scorer in this conference. So, 2.2 seconds left to go. Wolfpack of Nevada, last chance here. And of course, you're going to want to get the ball to Jared Lucas. He's your best player. 2 seconds, 1 second. Heave from half court by Lucas, and he banks it in. What a shot from Jared Lucas, making up for the 2 missed free throws. Unreal finish here from Colorado State and Nevada. Unbelievable game in the Mountain West. What just happened? They blew a 6-point lead in the final 30 seconds. Colorado State tied it up. And then Jared Lucas sends everybody home with a half-court heave off the glass. Unreal finish in this one. Take another look at it. Like, oh my gosh. One-legged heave from half-court. Bang. Off the glass. What a finish this was. And I was watching this last night. I was just like, I had no words. I had nothing to say. I was just like shocked. Absolutely shocked. So what a game that was on FS1 last night. The Mountain West is going to be a fun conference tournament to watch this year. That's for sure. 6 or 7 teams, maybe even more, can win that thing. It's going to be a lot of fun. But what a finish that was. And now, moving from the play of the week, we'll go to the game of the week. Touched on a little bit here, but Kentucky went to Mississippi State. This was also last night. So good thing I waited a day because I got the play of the week and the game of the week from last night. Tuesday night. What a day in college basketball it was. So an SEC matchup here. We're going to pick it up with 1:18 left to go in the first half. Mississippi State Bulldogs leading by 5. All right, so we're going to go into halftime here with an 8-point lead for the Bulldogs. 43-35 lead for Mississippi State over the number 16 ranked Kentucky Wildcats going into the second half. So, picking it up here. Moving ahead a little bit. Bear with me here, sorry. So, about 8 minutes and 40 seconds left to go in this game. Into the paint to Talu Smith III, who lays it in. So 4-point game here, 7:30 left to go. Reed Shepard for 3, cuts the lead down to 1. So Bulldogs still on top by 1 here. Increasing that lead to 3. Then Keyshawn Murphy for 3, extending the Bulldog lead to 6, with just about 6 minutes to go here. Antonio Reeves makes a man miss on the pump fake. Floater in the lane is good, cuts the deficit down to 4. 69-65 with 5.5 left to go here. Reed Shepard with the steal, lays it in, cuts it down to 2. A couple possessions later here for the Wildcats. Shepard over to Dillingham. Corner 3, good. And the Wildcats have their first lead of the ball game with 4.5 minutes left to go. First time they lead this entire game. as Dillingham dishes down to Bradshaw for the slam. Great drive and dish there from Rob Dillingham, as now the Kentucky lead is now 1. Shepard over to Dillingham. ISO. Great crossover. Scoop layup in off the glass. What a move there from Rob Dillingham. Puts the lead back up to 3. And this pass is stolen by Reeves. Dillingham's got it. To Reed Shepard. Up and under layup is good, plus the foul. So he hits the layup, lead up to 6 for Kentucky. As we're getting into clutch time here, and Reed Shepard has taken over this ball game. Him and Rob Dillingham making huge plays late on in this ball game. Here is Josh Hubbard taking a step back 3 to reduce the deficit. Got it. What a game Josh Hubbard had in this one, cutting the deficit down. 7-point game here. Hubbard again, pull-up jumper over Shepard, in. 4-point game now. What a shot there from this point guard of the Bulldogs. So now 30 seconds left to go. 6-point game, Kentucky on top. Cameron Matthews driving past Shepard to the lane, gets it to go, plus the foul. So the free throw could make it a 3-point game here, and it is good. So 1 possession game, 28 seconds left. Shepard's got the ball, double teamed here on the backcourt, throwing it into the front court, but it's intercepted there. But a foul. So Talu Smith III with a great job to intercept Shepard's pass, but he's fouled with 21.2 left to go. 3-point game. Smith hits the first free throw to make it 2 points. And he cuts the deficit to 1. So 2 clutch free throws there for Talu Smith III. Kentucky gets it in. Back over to Shepard, who's fouled. And he's going to nail 2 free throws to put the lead back up to 3. So 16.7 left to go. Mississippi State need a 3-ball to tie it. Josh Hubbard has been unbelievably hot. He gets the ball, takes a pull-up 3, and nails it. What a shot. His 7th made 3 of the game. Kentucky's got timeouts, but they're going to go. Shepard wants the ball. He finally gets it. Driving into the lane, wrong-footed floater at the buzzer, and he gets it. What a shot there from Reed Shepard. With 0.5 seconds to go, gives Kentucky a 2-point lead. What a big-time shot there from the freshman. 32 points on the night. Career high for him. But what a sequence that was as Josh Hubbard hits his 7th 3 of the game. As we see it right here in a pull-up from the logo, the side logo there. Nailing it to tie it up. Shepard with 2 seconds left. Floater in the lane is good. What a tough shot that was from the freshman to nail it. Unbelievable. But they reviewed it, and there's 0.5 seconds left to go. So Bulldogs need a miracle, but guess who picks it off? Reed Shepard. So 32 points for him, a career high. Josh Hubbard for the Mississippi State Bulldogs point guard, he had 34. He had a game high, so unbelievable game from him. But Reed Shepard, 32, and gets the final buzzer beater and the last laugh. So what a game that was between the Bulldogs of Mississippi State and the Wildcats of Kentucky. Reed Shepard, Antonio Reeves, and Rob Dillingham just too much late on. Unbelievable game that was. So after that game of the week, we'll preview some games to look forward to this week. And all of them come from Saturday, March 2nd. All right, so this Saturday, the first Saturday of college basketball in March, set to be an absolute doozy. Going to be unreal. A bunch of ranked matchups, a bunch of great games, bunch of games that should come down to the wire. So next week should be very difficult to pick a game of the week, just like this week was. But last night was unbelievable between Kentucky and Mississippi State. So Saturday, games to look forward to. First one I got here, Virginia at number 10 Duke. Virginia, they just make everybody work for it because their defense is really good. Their offense is a little bit but they could hold Duke to 50 or less points. Number 13, Illinois, heads to Wisconsin. Wisconsin's been on the struggle bus lately. They were all the way at number 10 at one point. In the top 10, I believe, actually. Maybe down to number 6. But they were ranked number 10, and then 4 consecutive losses drops them out. And I think they lost their last game, too. So looking to bounce one back against the number 13 team in the country, Illinois, the Fighting Illini. First ranked matchup of the Saturday. Number 5, Marquette travels to number 12, Creighton. So a big-time Big East matchup there. Number 7, Kansas goes to Waco to take on, or Waco, that's the wrong place. Goes to Baylor. Well, no, I'm right. Goes to Waco. I'm looking it up. I forget. If I was right, I'm the man. Is that where Baylor is? Yeah. All right, I'm right. No, I'm not. Oh, I am. So the number 7 Kansas Jayhawks, after their first home loss in 67 straight games, going to go to Waco, because I'm smart, know my geography, to take on the number 15 Baylor Bears. The game I was previewing earlier, number 23 Gonzaga, they're going to St. Mary's to take on the number 17 Gales. Huge game in the West Coast Conference there. And the game of the weekend, really. Number 4 Tennessee heads to number 14 Alabama. Big time SEC clash there. Huge game for Tennessee and the Volunteers. They have a bunch of tough games coming up. So if they can win 4 of the 5, 3 of the 5, because they're very tough, they might see themselves take this 4 seed depending on what happens between Marquette and Arizona. But so much still yet to come in the final 2 weeks, final 2.5, 3 weeks before Selection Sunday, and then the tournament will be upon us. Cannot wait. College basketball this time of year is unbelievable, and March begins this week. Today is Wednesday. Tomorrow, actually, is February 29th, leap year. First time in 4 years we're going to have a 29th. And then Friday is March. So you know what that means. College basketball, everything gets to a new level. The craziness ramps up. Everything gets crazy. So March, right around the corner. The next time we speak will be in March. So we'll see you then. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all that stuff at the Bobby Valentine Sports Show. And if you have any questions about the Bobby Valentine Sports Academy, hit up the bvacademy.com for anything you may need there. But we'll see you in March. Peace out.